Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. The month of March is Women's History Month in the United States. During the month, the lives of women are extolled. Normally, I write a short essay on the lives of black women and discuss them on my show. This year, I am no longer enthusiastic. I am torn. I think my essays are being taken as entertainment. The experiences of these women are too valuable to be taken as entertainment. These women suffered and worked tirelessly to achieve success. I want my efforts to change lives. I want women to see, and I want men to see, possibilities. I want black girls and black women to say to themselves, I can do the same thing. I do not have to live the life I am living. I can change my life for the better. I want my essays to be instruments of change. But if the only time people read about the lives of black women is during the month of March, what does it matter? That is the same with breast cancer. Do women actually only pay attention to breast cancer during the month of October? I have a host of black women to discuss on my show. One in particular, and I truly do not want her life trivialized as entertainment. History has ignored her, the same as the women who helped Rosa Parks. This was a valiant woman. She fought in the trenches. It seems we tend to isolate certain people as heroes and everyone else fades into the obscurity. There were hundreds of women who supported Rosa Parks before she was even heard of. And there was a young woman who did the same thing and nobody remembers her name. There were hundreds of women on the front lines in Birmingham before Martin Luther King. The struggle in Birmingham was taken over by black men because they did not want it to seem that women were leading the struggle. When it became time for people to meet the dignitaries in Washington, D.C. after the march in Washington, black men excluded black women from these functions. Read your history. Black preachers grin and have women standing in the hot sun, cooking chicken and ribs to sell to support the church. But when it comes to running of the church, they call on the deacons. Black women are then supposed to sit down and shut up. The woman I plan to write and talk about extensively is Fannie Lou Hamer of Mississippi. She fought a relentless battle against the hateful people of Mississippi so blacks could vote. I served 2 years in Mississippi. The racism there was virulent. I was in Mississippi when SNCC came to town. Fannie Lou Hamer was one of the many black women sterilized in Mississippi by white doctors in the state's denigrification plan. Remember, after the Civil War, Mississippi had one of the largest black populations in the country. So the black population in Mississippi need to be reduced to allow the white man to maintain control. Imagine how she felt when she spoke of the children she was trying to pave the way for so they could vote. She would have no children of her own to benefit from her efforts. Yes, she knew Malcolm X, and yes, she knew Martin Luther King Jr., but most of all, she knew the people she were fighting for. You have to listen to her. I grew up around proud, uneducated black women like Fannie Lou Hamer. She knew how to clean an icebox. She knew how to shovel coal and start a fire in the winter. If you want to know something about a black woman, look at her hands. Watch her clean her house. Look under her bed, behind the kitchen stove and the toilet. Watch her fry chicken. Count the number of children she has and then look at their skin. Note the number of books in her home. Fannie Lou Hamer knew about boiling water to take a bath. She was one of 20 children. She was an order, yet she dropped out of school at the age of 12. She began working as a sharecropper with her parents at the age of 6. She continued sharecropping after her marriage to Perry Hamer in 1942. She had the courage to stand up in front of thousands to tell them what was on her mind, to instill hope in their hearts, and to sacrifice for them. She once said, "Until I am free, you are not free either." You have to listen to her. There's a harmony in her spirit. Yes, she was tough and fiery, but she had resolve that would be hers for the rest of her life. She knew she would die fighting. She knew she would never relent. What makes me so angry is that we lost this woman at the age of 59 to breast cancer, the #1 killer of black women, second to murder. During this show, I'm going to play certain speeches that Fannie Lou Hamer gave to the public.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna
let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. My mom used to always sing "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine." Her singing had an urgency about it, an urgency for people to listen, for people to know that they were working for a cause, and everybody needed to join in because there was so much against the black people back then. My name is Jacqueline Hamer Flakes, and I'm the youngest and only living daughter of the late civil rights activist, Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer. People have written books, they have made movies, they have done bios, but they really don't know the real Fannie Lou Hamer.
We have been black, powerless people for 400 years.
My name is Monica Land, and Fannie Lou Hamer was my great aunt. Her husband, Pap, and my maternal grandfather were brothers. One of the things that I saw that was missing in all of the documentaries and clips that I'd seen on Aunt Fannie Lou was the family element. Stories that I had been told and heard my entire life, those were missing. That personal side of her life was missing, and I thought people needed to see that. Aunt Fannie Lou had always said was that she had spoken at every college and university campus there was. And once we started researching this film, we saw that that was just about true. She had a very large presence.
I've been very concerned with young black people in Mississippi, and there's no need of getting an education, running to some other place. Fight and make it right here. I'd take a chance in Mississippi quicker than I would Chicago, because we at least know where we are here. But they got some of the same hypocrites up there. It's just like these white racists down here.
I just thought, you know, why not let her tell her own story? She was known, you know, for her public speaking. She was such a fiery speaker.
I didn't come to Washington to hear no bills being legislated that they would feed me in 1972. What in the world is going on between 1972? I'm thinking about what you gonna do for my people in December.
When she spoke before other people, she told them about her background, her history, the cotton fields, where she came from. And so it just seemed natural to just build that and let her tell her own existence.
See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem.
My name is Jimmy Lee Lacey, and Aunt Fannie is my great aunt. She was the baby of the family. She believed truly in God. To have a family was kind of a religious family, and you was gonna do something in the church. If she was there, you were gonna do something, whether it was sing, pray, preach, or whatever. It looked like everybody was quiet, and if there wasn't a preacher, there's a Sunday school teacher or a Sunday school superintendent. We were brought up like that. But we was taught to love everybody, whether you was white or black. Skin never made a difference with her when it come down to righteous or come down to being right. In the same way with wrong. If you're wrong, it didn't make no difference what color you were. If you was wrong, she told you was wrong.
If I hate you because you hate me, I'm no better than you are. And all we want to do is to make these people understand that we are human beings and we can work together.
Long before she got involved in civil rights, she was saying,
We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We are tired of working for $3 measly a day, going home and being too tired to cook what little we did have.
because she was. Picking cotton was such a chore. My mother picked cotton, and 50, 60 years later, she's still traumatized by seeing cotton fields. She hates to see them because of the drudgery that it was on them. And so Aunt Fannie Lou did this for so long. And so that saying just followed her all of her life. Her song moved people, it motivated people. The freedom songs that she sang, that's what she used, and she was good at it.
Just think about going to a courthouse and just wanting to register to vote so that your name means something more than just having yourself being counted in the census, but just meaning something where you can vote for the President of the United States, vote for the people who are representing you in your city, in your county, in your state, in your nation. Just knowing that you have the power, or you should have had the power. But it took her going to Indianola and walking up to the counter and saying, we're here to register to vote.
She was out there figuring a way how to make people live better.
She wanted better for her children. She wanted better for her community. And I think that was the driving force, to just make things better for everyone, regardless of their color. Aunt Fannie Lou helped organize Freedom Summer.
People should be expected to get beaten, they should expect to spend in jail, and that they should expect possibly somebody to get killed.
She marched with Dr. King. She spoke. Malcolm X introduced her as America's #1 freedom-fighting woman. She felt the need, with others, including Mrs. Ella Baker, to create the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, or the MFDP.
That a political party should be open to all the people who wish to subscribe to its principles.
That was created because the official Democratic Party of Mississippi didn't allow black people to participate.
In 1964, when Mama Fannie went before the Credentials Committee, she walked in there with her purse on her arms, and I'm gonna say she was only 5'4", but she was walking tall that day. And when it was time for her to speak, she said,
Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, where we have to sleep with our telephones off of the hook because our lives be threatened daily?
and while she was speaking and telling about all the horrible things that were going on in the Mississippi Delta, President Lyndon B. Johnson did all that he could to make sure that it wasn't seen. They went to emergency commercials. He didn't know that that night it was aired anyway. And people all over the world saw that. They saw that she was telling what was going on. She wasn't fearful about telling what was going on because she went point A to point Z. And at the end, she had tears in her eyes. So that let everybody know that it was serious.
She was a very, very important part of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. What drove her was hearing that Black people could vote, you know, and have a say in what she called their destiny.
Here they come, followers of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. They've been here at the House of Representatives all day long from this morning. They are all now under arrest, charged with unlawful occupancy of a public building.
I realized who my mama, Fannie Lou Hamer, was when she took us on a trip with her to Atlanta, Georgia. And they had a convention going on, and I saw Mama on stage, and she had that hand on her hip, and her head was reared back, and she was talking, and she was giving the information on what happened to her in Winona when she was beaten.
What happened to her in Winona, Mississippi changed her forever.
I have a blood clot now in the artery to the left eye and a permanent kidney injury on the right side from that beating.
As they were leaving the jail, they were told that Medgar Evers had been assassinated that morning.
15 minutes past midnight, Evers got out of his car beside his home in a Negro residential area. In a vacant lot about 40 yards away, a sniper fired a single shot from a high-powered rifle at Evers' silhouette. The bullet hit him in the back, crashed through his body, through a window into the house. He died within an hour at a Jackson hospital.
She said later that that could have been what spared their lives because she'd heard the law enforcement officials talking about killing them and throwing them in the Big Black River. But because Medgar Evers had been assassinated earlier that morning, all eyes were going to be on Mississippi, and it was going to be too much publicity to do that. And so she honestly believed that the unfortunate death of Medgar Evers is what saved their lives.
I've been beaten in jail till my body was hard as metal. My house was bombed January 28, 1971, but I'm not stopping.
One of the things that moved me about her personality, her voice was so commanding.
In 1963 or 1964, we didn't have many people registered in Mississippi. But today we have 60% of the Black population registered in Mississippi. We have 42 elected officials in the state of Mississippi. And one day you will be proud when you can say, Senator Fannie Lou Hamer, because I'm on my way there.
She said that, you know, people may talk about me because they consider me uneducated, but still they were afraid of her because she had the power. We found all of these television interviews.
Will you welcome, please, Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
Where she was face-to-face with older white politicians. She was not intimidated by them because they were educated, particularly when she knew what she was talking about.
Even after the 1965 Voting Rights Bill passed and they sent a few registrars in Mississippi, they were able to get a few thousand people registered, but they are still is not accepted on the state book. And the only way these people can vote is on a national election. Well, how can they say they're fighting for the rights of people to vote when we're not allowed to vote in the state of Mississippi?
You've got a good point there, but...
That was amazing for me to see, that you had these old politicians who had been in politics for years with this woman that came out of the cotton field and told them where to go. You know, it's both funny and amazing at the same time that she had that kind of power. She had that kind of presence.
In the state of Mississippi. And we are tired of people saying that we are satisfied.
It was so effective. Dr. Martin Luther King did not like to follow her on stage because she was so dramatic. Harry Belafonte raised the money that sent her and several other SNCC delegates to Africa to visit President Sekou Touré.
Mr. Harry Belafonte's wife, Julie, was with her. And Mama Fannie was amazed by the things that she saw in Ghana. Black people working in the bank, running the stores, you know, people, the president came to the hotel where they were. And Miss Julie came up to the hotel room and she was like, Fannie, the president is here to see you. And Mom was like, no, I'm not going down there. I got rollers in my hair. So Miss Belafonte and her family, they all laugh about that because Mama was family to them. Whenever she was in New York, she stayed in their home. The picture that I saw that made me know that, I'm gonna say, Mama is famous, was a picture of the Kennedys. And I said, Mama, who is that lady? She's pretty. And she said, that's your godmama. And I'm like, my godmama? And she said, that's Jacqueline Kennedy. And I'm like, oh. Now, I don't know if she was just saying that to make me feel good, but I'm still hanging on that story. That's my godmama. She had this best friend, Miss Rose. And she would write letters to Miss Rose where she's really just being a mother and being a friend. This is a letter that Mama wrote on October 13th, 1965. Dear Rose, I received the package today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Rose, I've been very sick. Also, my husband. He stayed in the hospital 14 days and nights with a slip disc. It's also corrupted. But he's up now, not well, but better, and I am better, thank God. The children are fine, they're in school. I hope all your family are fine. Rose, my daughter that's 21 is going to be a mother in November. If you can find any used baby clothes, please send them to me, Rose. Rose, I met a wonderful lady in Portland. She knew you. I told her you are a mother for me, although I'm the oldest. I thank God there are people like you who care. Last night, we watched 2 cars stop in front of the house with white people in them. We saw one fella get out and a white girl. We don't know why they stopped because there are no white people on this street. Who do we report this to? Nobody have been convicted. That's what made me question America. How can we say this is a free country when all this can happen? Oh God, I wonder how long. Well, I have to tell you, as you're one of the greatest friends I ever had. Answer soon. Yours for God and for justice, Fannie Lou Hamer.
When our lead researcher and consultant, Dr. Megan Parker Brooks, found the letters and I started reading the letters, it was just so sad because she really poured out her heart to her friend Rose Fishman. And it was almost like seeing 2 different people. You saw the person, you know, who motivated the crowd and got people to go register and vote, and the person who was shot at and all of that. But then in the letters, you see a woman. You see a mother, a wife, a friend, and all of the baggage that came with that.
This is another letter that Mama Fannie wrote to Mrs. Edgar E. Smith. And this is a person in Massachusetts that she knew. Dear Mrs. Smith, this is to assure you that your letters and checks, and also all the boxes, Mrs. Smith, the money was so much help. I've been sick again and couldn't have gone to see a doctor. If you all hadn't helped me, I just wish I could put it in writing how I feel about what you all are doing for us. It makes my heart feel so good. Mrs. Smith, I've lasted a long time behind the beating. I got in jail, but it is catching up with me now. My whole body sometimes is sore. But I'm going to work until my days are done. Thank you all for everything. You're for God and justice for men. Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
She had just tremendous health issues. And when she was told that she had a tumor and needed to have it removed, during the procedure, a white doctor performed a hysterectomy on her without her knowledge or consent. And apparently at the time, a very common practice, and it was termed a Mississippi appendectomy.
How can you do that? But that's what they were dealing with back then in the 50s and the 60s. When I think about those things, I really get angry. I get angry because she worked hard. She worked tirelessly. And I mean, when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was already in a late stage when she found out, she would tell me, Cookie, come on in here, baby, and lay down by Mama. I'm cold. And back then, I didn't know what she was really doing. But the last few days of her being in the hospital in Mount Bayou, Daddy Pap took us to see her. And we started walking in the room. Me and my sister started walking in the room. And she started screaming, get him out of here, get him out of here. She didn't want us to see her like that. So my memory is not of someone who's frail or anything like that, because she never let us see her at that point. But my memory is, Cookie, baby, come on in here. Get in the bed with Mama. Just thinking about her. Loving and caring for 4 daughters, of which she didn't give birth to any. But she loved us, and she took care of us. Every time I come out here, I can just feel her spirit.
We want to determine some of our destiny, and this is what Black Power means.
She is such a tremendous part of our history. It's so sad to me, and all that she accomplished and tried to accomplish, most people don't even know who she is. We take for granted being able to walk in the front door of a grocery store, being able to go in any grocery store. We take for granted being able to go to the schools of our choice. We take for granted being able to eat anywhere we want, sit anywhere on the bus, drink at any water fountain. Those are things that she and so many others fought for and died for. And so because her sacrifices were so great and she died the way that she did, and she is such a part of history, I would just like to see her recognized for what she did and for the sacrifices that she made for this effort.
We want people all over America to know that we're fighting on a principle. And we gonna say now, go and tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go and tell it on the mountain to let my people go. Now everybody sing that, you know it. Go tell it on the mountain.
I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break.
For the past 2 months, I have discussed breast cancer in Black women. Recently occurred to me that I had not heard from males in the area. Not one man had written or called me for information on breast cancer, nor has any male volunteered to help our breast cancer campaign. This caused me to wonder why. I hope the answer is not that males think breast cancer is a woman's issue. It's not. It's a family issue. It's a marriage issue. It's a community issue. It is an issue that concerns us all. The loss of one member of our community is devastating. Everyone is affected by the death, either directly or indirectly. The death of a parent can lead to angry children and devastated husbands. The death of a parent can lead a child to criminal behavior. Breast cancer is serious business, not just because of the death, but because of the aftermath, the horror breast cancer leaves behind. This is why, as a community, this disease must be fought at all costs by all of us. You have mothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and granddaughters all at risk for breast cancer. Yes, women die of other diseases, but breast cancer is the most insidious disease of them all. I noticed I have not seen one man download the PDF file, Black Women and Breast Cancer, and send the file to any of his female relatives or friends for that matter. Why? You are concerned. So I would like for you to participate with me. Go to https://nisv.info and download the PDF file Black Women and Breast Cancer and send it to 5 of your friends. Also, please sit down and read the booklet. It's filled with information. One of the most important things about the disease is that we understand it. By understanding the disease, we can ask more informed questions of our doctors. Do you know how many people die or are injured each year because they take medication improperly? There is a reason why pharmacists insist on putting warning in our medication. This is why it's important that you learn to read. Medication errors are a problem with people who cannot read and or are afraid to ask their doctor questions because they don't want to appear stupid. When you go in to see your doctor, it's not your job to try to impress him or her. You want their talents to impress you. So if you don't understand something, say so, and ask all the questions you need to feel comfortable taking your medicine or understanding your illness. The same with your pharmacist. Ask him or her questions until you feel comfortable taking your medication and you know how to take your medication properly. I received a medication in the mail. I did not know how to take it. I read the directions, but it was not clear to me how to take the medication properly. I was truly frustrated because I knew I was a competent reader. I drove down to the VA Medical Center and asked the pharmacist to show me how to take my medication. The pharmacist didn't say a word, but she came out, sat down, and demonstrated how I was to take my medication. And she discussed the actions the medication would have on my body. I left her knowing more than I did when I arrived. On another occasion, I received a phone call from a pharmacist, and she told me immediately to stop taking 2 of my medication because there was a contradiction. Both medications had been prescribed by doctors, but it was the pharmacist who noted that error. So don't feel stupid asking questions of your doctor or pharmacist. That is their job, to help you with the care of your body. This is why the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer is so important. It's filled with information. The information is presented in such a way as to make you aware of what you did not know or understand. This awareness should prompt you to ask questions of your physician. All cancers are not the same. This is why family history is so important. The booklet was also written to let Black women know that their cancer can be more virulent and more progressive than others. The book was also written to inspire Black women to become more involved in the research of their particular breast cancer. Who's doing the research? Where is the research being conducted? And how is this research being funded? And by whom? I believe we can have a significant breakthrough with cancer if Black women become more aggressive in funding research. Join us to support our campaign by purchasing a book. See our advertisement. We have great gifts for men. One moment in time can change everything in your life. When you agreed to purchase the books The Prayer Jar and The Woman I Want to Be to help save someone's life, you are actually helping yourself. No one knows when they will be diagnosed with breast cancer. So help yourself and others by purchasing a book at the WHPR Studios at 160 Victor Street in Highland Park, Michigan. We thank you for your support. The proceeds will help us in our year-long campaign.
Hi, I decided that at the end of every show for the next year, I would share excerpts from a book that I believe would enhance your life and make you a stronger thinker and problem solver. All characteristics that will help you win at life and raise stronger and healthy children. Many of you turn your nose up at reading, or you snub the advice that you must read in life to succeed, or you compare the cost of a book to getting a new pair of shoes or getting your hair done or your nails done. The reason why you make these cost comparisons is because you do not truly value a book. A book is a magnificent instrument that can change the course of your life and the lives of your children. In later shows, I plan to discuss with you how a book changed the lives of certain people. I understand that you do not earn a lot of money, and this money is valuable to you because of all the things you see advertised that you desire, and you do not want to spend a lot of money on a book. A new pair of shoes is more valuable to you than a book. If you truly cannot afford a book, then you need to go to the library and take your children with you for a day of reading. You must gird your loins and proceed at educating yourself. Some of you seem to think that having a conversation with your stupid girlfriend or your stupid boyfriend will help you more than reading a book, when actually having a conversation with your loudmouth girlfriend or loudmouth boyfriend is merely a cathartic, allowing you to blow off steam and proclaim how life has been so unfair to you. What you do not realize is that the advice coming from your do-nothing girlfriend or your do-nothing boyfriend is advice coming from a fool. Your do-nothing girlfriend is a sexual opportunist looking for a man she can impress with her body. When her vagina fails her, what will your girlfriend do but go to work at McDonald's or Wendy's at the age of 60 and continue to spread her ignorance at church? Her daughter will be on the street and her son in prison. She will never realize that her life is the result of the decision she made not to educate herself through reading. All her life she felt that she had something better to do than reading. She had something better to do than reading with her children. She had something better to do than working with her children. And that was going to the bar, trying to entertain a man, or trying to find some man that would buy her a pair of shoes. A man spending money on her was more important than educating herself. In later shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time giving you some examples of fools. These are people who think they are smart, willing to trade their body and integrity for a dollar bill. These people end up in the cemetery after lamenting each and every day of their lives about their unfulfilled dreams. Do not be upset by the use of the word fool. You tell me if a woman is not a fool to instruct her grandson to kill her husband for a $25,000 life insurance. Let that sink in for a moment. Instead of instructing her grandson to make something of his life, The grandmother instructs her grandson to become a murderer, to kill his grandfather. I have this anecdotal advice for you about reading. Listen to this short true story. A friend and I were talking. She said a woman she knew called her and sought to renew their friendship. During their conversation, the woman told my friend that President Trump had done so much for black people, and that's why she voted for him in 2016, and she was going to vote for him again in the upcoming election. My friend asked her a question. She said, "Tell me some of the things that Trump has done for black people." The woman said, "A whole lot." My friend persisted and asked her to name one thing that Trump had done for black people. The woman could not. The woman kept using the phrase "a whole lot of things." My friend said after a while she stopped talking. Finally, the conversation was over and my friend hung up. My friend said, as she hung up, she made up her mind right then that she would never renew her friendship with this woman. Now ask yourself why. Why would she not renew her friendship with this woman? You can answer this question in two words. The woman was a poor thinker. She never investigated anything that was told to her. Whether you know it or not, a person who is a poor thinker, who does not examine his or her thinking, is a very dangerous person indeed. Think about it. The book Life-Saving Advice presumes to give women and young girls advice about their lives. The assumption is made that these two groups are in need of this valuable information. The assumption is based on a 20-year study into the murders of more than 20,000 American women. Certain conclusions were made during this study. The conclusions were that many women do not recognize they are in danger. They do not recognize the danger signs in their relationships that can lead to their murders. Many women are oblivious to the danger. This information is not taught in the home and it is not taught in schools. Therefore, women are exceedingly vulnerable to violence due to their lack of knowledge. Two women were shot to death in 2016 in the city of Oak Park, Michigan. The women were sisters, which means that the women supported one another throughout their lives. I believe that these two women could have possibly escaped this violence if they had had more information regarding violence against women. If they had known that the most dangerous time for any woman is when she either separates from a man or boyfriend or when she's moving out of the home. No woman should attempt this action unless it is carefully planned, and the woman should leave without the spouse or boyfriend knowing where she has gone. Never give the spouse or boyfriend knowledge that you want to leave him. Never go back to the home for items that you have left. When you leave, leave and plan never to come back. Leave the state. In the book Life-Saving Advice, you learn violence against women and children is not a man versus women issue. Violence against women and children has nothing to do with the war of the sexes, and it has nothing to do with homosexuality or with a woman wearing the pants in the family. Violence against women and children is about equality and about sovereignty and about freedom and about power. Violence against women and children is a community issue, and violence against women and children should be seen as a community issue by all groups in our society. The church should see violence against women and children as a community issue. The police should see violence against women and children as a community issue. The legislature should see violence against women and children as a community issue. And the judiciary should see violence against women and children as a community issue. Once the women and men in this country see violence against women and children as a community issue affecting our stability as a nation, we will see it is time for us to change. It is time for America to attempt the greatest social change it has ever conducted since the freeing of the black slaves, because violence against women and children strikes at the soul of our consciousness and the reputation of America as being a free and just nation. Violence against women and children is not a pleasant subject for conversation, and many people simply ignore the violence around them or pretend it doesn't exist even when they see violence occurring in their own family. Nevertheless, violence against women and children is a real issue. Your daughter and your grandchildren are being injured or murdered every day, so this issue must be confronted by the entire community if the violence is to stop. The book Life Saving Advice states apathy is not the answer. Action is the answer. And in order to take action, you must have information. Thus, the purpose of the book and our website, touchedbythelight.us. After reading this book, we ask that you visit our other website, www.nisv.info, and download our free ebooks that will give you some of the information that you will need. The book, Life Saving Advice, demonstrates that violence against women is taking an enormous emotional and financial toll on this country. Every day, our sons and daughters are falling prey to the seduction of sex and drugs. Our children are being led to believe a man should do anything for money, including selling his body for sex. Our children are also being taught integrity is spelled CHEAT. If you can't win, cheat. Man should do whatever he has to do to get ahead. It is okay to lie, cheat, and steal. It's okay to sell women and children. Deceit is all a part of the game. 12 and 13-year-old girls are being taught to dress seductively without being mature enough to have custody of their bodies. Statutory rape is no longer vigorously prosecuted in this country, allowing for the wholesale seduction of young children. We cannot sit in church and hope that the problem will go away. We must fight. We must have courage in face of adversity to stand up if we are to live our lives in peace and harmony. We must break through the barriers of fear. We must decide if what we fear is more dangerous to us than doing nothing. We can no longer sit in huddles and gossip about the next door neighbor or your friend's husband. You must make a contribution to society. Your contribution can be as little as becoming informed and teaching your children about integrity and character and respecting themselves and others. Or you can go beyond collecting information and participating in the elevation of the self-esteem of those living around you. Either way, you will be making a difference and a contribution to your society and to your community and to yourself. The survival of any people is predicated on the lives of the young and how well a community changes. History has taught us that the survival of any species is predicated on the adaptation and change. We must now seriously consider changing if we are to survive as a nation that our forefathers designed. Please take time to go to our website, touchedbythelight.us, and read the first chapter of this book. We believe you will be impressed and you will find that there's information in this book that can help you and members of your family.
For just $13.95, we'll give you a book that will save your life. Not your life alone, but for the entire woman you interact with. Life-Saving Advice is a book by a woman who has seen it all. The 248-page black and white print gives you massive insight to identify potential danger around you. It outlines the characteristics of harmful people likely to put your life at risk. Isn't it life-saving? Hurry now. Go to https://touchedbythelight.us/regular publications instantly and obtain your copy. Making an excuse is easy. The consequences are fussy. In fact, we always find ourselves failing to achieve our goals because we succeed in making excuses. The good news is, the author of What You Must Do to Win has yet another book for you. The Cure You Need for a Change. What You Need to Win. The book title speaks it all. Reading its 276 pages is worth it. Be a courage woman to read and inspire others. Go to https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications and get your copy now for only $14.95. Life is at its best when you get to the mountaintop. Nevertheless, at times we lose our way and land in the valley. Adversity comes and shakes us in fear. What do you do at such a time? Where do you get your strength when it's gone? Be Not Defeated in Hard Times is the book you need to overcome such fears and gain back your strength. It's cheap, $10.95 only. To purchase this book, log into https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications before it's out of stock. Are you a woman seeking solace? Or are you a woman in need of the comfort of prayers? Or are you one distressed and disturbed? It doesn't matter your niche. The Prayer Jar is a book just for you. It deserves your study table. The author, a fellow woman, writes this book inspirationally to address your prayer needs in every situation. The book does not only bring you closer to God, but it also leads you to a mature prayerful life. The printing is in black and white. Don't wait. Go to https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications to get your copy instantly for $14.95 only. The Prayer Jar, a Christian book for your prayer life.
Fannie Lou Hamer was a civil rights leader during the 1950s and 60s. She was instrumental in organizing the Mississippi Freedom Summer and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. She later became the vice chairman of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. Fannie was known as an exciting speaker who wasn't afraid to say what she thought. She was always willing to stand up for what was right. Fannie was born in October of 1917. She was the youngest of 20 children. She spent her days picking cotton with her family. By the time she was 13 years old, she could pick 200 to 300 pounds of cotton per day. She became involved with the civil rights movement in the early 1950s. She knew that the way she had been treated her whole life wasn't right. She knew that in order for things to change, she needed to be brave to speak up in defense of change. Fannie began attending conferences and listening to speakers like Thurgood Marshall and Charles Diggs. She became especially interested in voting rights. While it was legal for blacks to vote, it was still something many feared. It was very risky to even register to vote. It meant they could lose their job, be beaten, or lynched. In 1962, Fannie attended a meeting for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and during the meeting, Reverend James Bevel encouraged the meeting attendees to register to vote. Fannie was the first to volunteer. She later said, "I guess if I'd had any sense, I'd have been a little scared, but what was the point of being scared? The only thing they could do was kill me, and it kinda seemed like they'd been trying to do that a little bit at a time since I could remember." The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee rented a bus and traveled to Indianola, Mississippi to register to vote. On the trip there, Fannie began singing gospel hymns. This became her signature. She was known to sing Christian music because she believed that the fight for civil rights was also a deeply religious endeavor. Throughout the rest of Fannie's life, she continued to be a brave voice for black voters. She'd been beaten by police and wrongfully arrested, but it never stopped her from believing that things could change. She died at the age of 59 and was buried in Ruleville, Mississippi. On her gravestone is written a quote she was known for saying often, "I am sick and tired of being sick and tired."
It is my goal to get every able-bodied black person in the state of Michigan out to vote in every election that is held now and into the future. Therefore, I am dedicating 4 shows to the discussion of Hattie Lou Hamer, the most staunchest voting advocate we have ever had. Do not forget this woman. Tell your children about her. And please share these videos of her with your friends and families all over the country. Thank you for your help in my journey of getting black people out to vote. Thank you. Dear listeners, help us save a life. Stop breast cancer from taking lives. Will you assist us in putting the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer in the hands of a million people? Please go to the website www.touchedbythelight.us and download the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. Then email this booklet to 5 friends, asking them to email the booklet to 5 of their friends. We are trying to reach a million women with this information to save lives. The death of one woman to breast cancer from our community is one woman too many. We thank you for your support.
This is our moment of hope. We want to end breast cancer. Will you get involved in our year-long campaign to bring the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer to women all over the country? All you have to do is purchase the books What You Must Do to Win and Life-Saving Advice at the WHPR studios at 160 Victor Street in Highland Park, Michigan. The proceeds from the book sales will help us in our campaign.
Join us at the Women of Courage show every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. for information that will change your life. You can also visit us at our website, touchedbythelight.us.